Hey to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, ChiroThin, Chiro Moguls, Mahalo Wellness, Local Gold, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiropractic Rocks, Winner's Edge, Accident Records, Chiro Tax Pro, and Digital Hustle. Let's hustle.
Hey guys, welcome to episode 189 of the Chiro Hustle podcast. I'm your co-host, Luke Millette, and here's your host, Jim Chester.
So today we have the opportunity of interviewing Dr. Ben Glass, and if you want to know about connecting the dots with the best books in chiropractic, stay tuned. Today we have Dr. Ben Glass coming in from the O-Town, which is Oakland, out there in the Bay Area, and Luke and I are coming in from Grand Junction, which is in the Grand Valley on the western slope of Colorado, which I like to say we moved out here because no one lived here and we wanted to hear the birds chirp. And now we're here and we've been producing hard for almost 3 years here, and this is episode 189. And first of all, we want to welcome you as our guest today.
Appreciate it. Thank you. Thanks for having me.
Yeah, man. And you were sparking a fire up under me earlier and asking me some interesting questions. And it got me to retrace some of the ideas that we were sharing like 6 years ago now. And we came into each other's ecosystem 6 years, man. Can you believe that?
6 years. Was it 2014? That's right. When you were making the first documentary.
Yeah, man. So, it's cool to have you on and feature you for an episode because, the chiropractic profession is a tight knit, but we always have to support each other as we transition. And it's really cool to see how you're growing and what you're up to. And, I think that it'd be really cool to share with our audience today your story.
Absolutely. The funny thing is I didn't really have a chiropractic story before I went to school. And I look at that as being one of the biggest subluxations of the profession, not making sure that every student entering chiropractic school has a story and has a clear why and a clear vision for why they're becoming a chiropractor. But I went into school after basically being a kinesiology major, studying exercise science, knowing I was going to go to grad school to become some kind of healthcare provider, not knowing what the right path was. So my last semester of college, did a study where I interviewed all different types of healthcare professionals and still didn't decide on chiropractic. I wasn't inspired by the guy that I interviewed. So I was thinking I was going to go towards a more medically oriented profession. I come from a medical family of doctors and nurses. And I got out of one of the interviews to go in one direction and wasn't feeling it, and walked down the street, entered a new chiropractic type of office, and wound up working for that guy for 6 months and still chose the wrong college because I didn't realize how different the schools were. So I chose the chiropractic school based on the location, not what type of chiropractic education I was going to get there. And so my chiropractic story didn't come until I chose the wrong school, transferred to the right school, and then got adjusted for real, for the first time in my life. And it happened mainly up here, but also down here. And I had multiple chiropractic stories in school, and it's basically at seminars on the weekends, getting that light bulb turned on by my mentors.
So let's tell everybody where not to go.
Most schools that have health science university in their name are going to be the schools that are not necessarily delivering a chiropractic centered education. So I went to one school. I won't name names, but it's in the Northwest. There's not too many of them up there, and transferred down to a school in California, and I couldn't imagine how different it could have been. Like I would have never been able to imagine how different it was. And I actually visited the school that I transferred to initially and was not excited about going to that school, mainly because of how ugly the campus was, and was really just basing it on what I thought my life would be like as a student in this school, in this city, versus a student in this school in this city, but mainly based on campus and location and what I'd be doing on the weekends, would I enjoy my quality of life? Not, am I studying chiropractic? Am I not studying chiropractic, but I'm going to get a degree that says Doctor of Chiropractic, but am I really studying chiropractic? A lot of the schools are not really teaching chiropractic. It's a shame.
Well, I think that that's something we should talk about too. And, when it comes to education, I guess where are like the last thresholds of truth for education that you would, consider sending the future to?
Schools that are talking about how chiropractic can influence the nervous system to impact somebody's life, how they can help somebody move through difficult times in life, not just back pain, neck pain, and headaches, but if they're trying to compete and perform at their highest level, if they're trying to deal with the stress of their job or their relationship, and basically just seeing chiropractic as a way to shift your consciousness and also a way to really influence how your brain is taking in its environment. So there's not a lot of schools that are out there right now. I would say Life West, Sherman, Barcelona Chiropractic College. My premise, though, is that it's not, we can't keep just pointing the finger and saying, go to these schools. It's not enough. We need to go beyond what is currently available in regards to the infrastructure and say, no matter which school you go to, before you go to chiropractic school, we want you to understand what the framework looks like of how you go about becoming a chiropractor. What do the skill sets look like? What is chiropractic? Do you really understand chiropractic? And so even if they go to one of these more quote unquote medicalized chiropractic programs, they've already been given the truth on what chiropractic is. So they're going to go to that program and see the misalignment and be like, hey, I need to transfer. Or they're going to know going into that program what they're getting themselves into. I think that's the major issue right now.
So two things, Dr. Ben. We know this in marketing as the pre-launch. So how do you prime your audience to purchase? Well, I think in what you're talking about with the pre-launch of an education, how do we prime our perspectives to choose wisely? And I think that that's something that takes a lot of intention, but the outcome is what chiropractic is all about. And a lot of times, as I've been going through the transition of becoming more knowledgeable about chiropractic, the last thing that anybody in the chiropractic profession wants to be is an expensive Advil. So we don't want to teach our students that chiropractors are expensive Advils. And I think that we have to, really, put a line in the sand to know that, hey, education matters, location doesn't. And, the education of the future is what matters. And we have to teach them with the right pre-launch. We have to pre-launch them into the right programs. And, that's really why I became a regent of Sherman College. And that's why I've been supporting Life and Life West, because I saw a bigger vision of keeping congruency within the messaging. And, I think that we have to, I'm not saying the other schools aren't producing good chiropractors. I've never said that once. I just, want people to know that if they're going to consider an education for the future of this profession, they have to really look under the rug and see what's underneath there. And they have to look in the dark corners in the rooms and what's being stored there. And I think that it's also understanding where the money sources are coming from, like we discussed off camera. You have to be careful where you take money from this day and age. Is that money? What's that money smell like? Does it smell like freedom? Does it smell like freedom?
I mean, the reality is every single school is collecting similar tuition unless you're out of the U.S. So I believe there's a lot of students that go to chiropractic school and then they either drop out because it wasn't what they were expecting it to be. They get through the program, but they don't get licensed because they weren't ready to pass the licensing boards. And I just know personally a lot of people that went to the right school but didn't either become a chiropractor that's practicing, or felt as though the right school was still not really giving them what they were looking for, right?
So I think the real angle that we need to look for going down this as the road narrows idea, we need to go narrow the road and say, well, how do we take these schools back?
Right.
The ones that have maybe lost their way, and we need to reintroduce vitalism and in the languaging of innate intelligence and subluxation-based chiropractic back into it. It's like taking a forest like out there in California that just burned down, and reintroducing life back into it. Or taking a forest out here in Colorado that just burned down and reintroducing life back into it. It might take time, but it's possible. So I think that that's really important to talk about.
Yes. So yeah, I just keep coming back to the infrastructure, regardless of whether you're at a vitalistic school or a school that's completely lacking any chiropractic within the program. You're going to need to go outside of the curriculum in order to find the essence, the boiled down essence of chiropractic, being this inwardly, this turning inward and really connecting with your own innate intelligence, or connecting with what's going on inside of you, and then growing from there, starting from that place with wherever you're going. So this idea of learning from everyone and following no one is really critical for chiropractic students. And I think that when a chiropractic student entering chiropractic school is not connected to like what brought them there, it doesn't matter what school they went to. I mean, if you go to some of these vitalistic schools, your head is going to be turned in every direction. So the way I'm trying to boil it down for an incoming student is that you have to work on your inner state, which is these 5 skill trees that comes from within, that you have to develop within, right? So you have your state as an acronym for scientist, thinker, artist, teacher, entrepreneur. And so when students start to see chiropractic as a science, philosophy, art, business, and communication process that they're undergoing, they can get a lot of those initial semesters in chiropractic school out of the way before they get to school. They can explore the techniques. They can go deep with the philosophy. They can look at the research. They can get exposed to different practice models. They can go to different types of clinics and get under the care of quality chiropractors. And they can get support so that when they get to school, they have this clarity within them that, hey, I know I need to get through my classes. I know this academic program is going to be extremely difficult, but I also know that I have this supplemental curriculum that I've developed for myself based on what I've been exposed to in my pre-chiropractic years. And I'm going, right at something, like laser sharp focus, as Arno likes to say. Keep it laser sharp and focused. And I just think that if they go through some of the best resources that our profession has developed throughout the years, right? I was just reflecting on like my 20 favorite books for chiropractic students. And if they go through those, when they get to school, they're going to be so lit up from the inside, and they're going to understand they have to be proactive and they have to be constantly learning and growing, that school is not going to seem so overwhelming at first. Because at first you got your academic program and then you've got your supplemental program that's being introduced to you. And it's too much. It could be very polarizing, and it turns a lot of students off when they're just hearing for the first time after they've committed to a $200,000 program, the philosophy of chiropractic as told by Didi or BJ or Sid Williams or Reggie Gold or Fred Barge, any of these characters that have really dedicated their lives to the profession. Sue Brown developed this thing called BGI. If a student's never heard of BGI before, I think going into chiropractic school, they're not seeing the full picture. So I want them to become exposed as much as possible so that when they enter chiropractic school, they'll be that much further ahead. And then chiropractic school is just about getting your license, and it's about refining yourself into a professional level person, professional level chiropractor. And so our standards are so low right now that they're letting students in without science degrees and with no pre-chiropractic training, right? I've heard in interviews that you guys have done, there's chiropractors that are complaining all the time that they talk to these administrators from different schools that have never even been to a chiropractor before they got into the program. They didn't even know what chiropractic was before they got into the program. And I think that having the admissions department's marketing to students, and that be the only source of the marketing that's happening to prospective chiropractic students, is the biggest subluxation that our profession has had for a really, really long time now. We don't have any third-party groups, organizations that can connect, the brain, which is you guys, the companies that are delivering content that is going to get them thinking like a professional chiropractor, to the cells, which the cells are the students. The cells of this body of chiropractic are the students. So from brain to tissue cell, there's a disconnect there, right? Like nobody hears of CBP or BGI or network or activator or applied kinesiology or SOT or Sid Williams or BJ Palmer or Fred Barge. If they go to some of these other schools, they'll go the whole program and never learn. And then they'll graduate, they'll go to a seminar, hear about all this stuff, and then they're having to go back. And that's why I say, even if you go to one of these mechanistic, medicalized programs, you could still come out, join a coaching program, get dipped into the philosophy, develop that spiz, and then all of a sudden have a practice that's pumping. And I just think that everybody has that potential. Nobody's being given like that transparent, wide angle view on what this profession has grown and developed to become. So that's where pre-chiro comes in, That's the gift of pre-chiro.
So would you say those names you've been dropping are some of your chiropractic heroes?
I mean, I think it's important for every chiropractor to recognize the lineage they came from. And so it went BJ Palmer to Reggie Gold to Arnaud Bernier to me directly, right? Like I worked on staff with Arnaud with MLS seminars. I kind of stopped working on staff when he stepped away from MLS seminars, but MLS, I went to like 12 to 14 times throughout school. And it was always that check-in where's my skills at? Where's my clarity? Where's my certainty at? And Arnaud produced a bunch of CDs, just like Reggie Gold produced a bunch of CDs, just like Sid Williams produced a bunch of CDs that I would listen to on my way to school. I would listen to Jen Tempo and Kent and their On Purpose series on the way to school. I would listen to the Master Circle and Bob Hoffman and Perman delivering like the newest research or the newest practice ideas or models. And I'm listening to that. I'm bathing my mind in that. And I just believe that because of all that, it gave me this strength that when I went out into the world and started my practice, I was able to deliver a professional level adjustment with a clarity that I knew that it was going to work. I had seen it work. I had felt it work. I'd experienced chiropractic from the inside out. And that's just, to me, like to keep pointing the finger at the effects, which to me, the effects are like our chiropractic graduates. That's not the cause. Everybody's got the potential. That I don't know if I'm answering your question. I had a lot of good mentors, man.
What are some of your personal mantras that keep you committed and fired up every day?
Just that vision is one of the rarest commodities that we have in this society right now. And that I just need to stay connected to my vision, keep expanding my vision. There's a lot of really good mantras. What I focus on expands. Be the creator of my own reality, not a victim of circumstance. There's no mistakes, just mistakes.
I like that one.
There's a lot of things that come to me, but I process through writing. So nobody really has seen all my writings throughout the years, but I have like 10 to 15 journals of just looking at things through the lens of what could a chiropractic student do if they knew what I knew.
Through the looking glass.
Through the looking glass. Yeah, my last name's Glass. It's all about seeing things clearly. And, I had this mentor, Dr. Nystrom, back in the day. She was talking about how a subluxation is like a bunch of dirt that's built up on the windows of a church. And when they go and they when we go and we wipe clean that dirt as chiropractors with the adjustment, you could think of it like an antenna coming out of your car or like a dirty window. When we wipe that clean, or when we clean off that antenna, and we're able to get a clear signal, which is what we're doing when we connect with people innately, where we really connect with people on that deep level and we deliver that adjustment. That's chiropractic. It might shift their consciousness in a way that makes them quit their job. I've had so many people through the years quit their job, right? Or get a promotion, or go to their boss and say, hey, how can I participate in the upside of this company? So, chiropractic is beautiful. And I love living in Oakland because it's one of the most diverse places in the whole world, Well,
I want to fill in some of the gaps that we're talking about here. And I think, there's been a lot of talk recently about understand your why. And I think right now more than ever, we have to understand the why not. And why not do it that way? Why do it this way? And discernment is one of those big words that people are popping up with, and, really bringing clarity to, as you discuss. And another one of those things is clarity. And, I'm in a group of people that are like, highly successful. And the one common thread that ties all them together that stops them from getting to the next place is clarity. And I think the fundamentals and the foundation are something that are massively stopping people from progressing. And, I grew up playing top level soccer. And
Me too.
I'll tell people this all the time, that the kids that went on to play for the Olympics, what they played for was the Olympic development program. And what stops people from becoming successful chiropractors is we don't have an Olympic development programs, preparing people through time to become the future warriors in chiropractic. And it's just like a small business. And that's the shame, is that chiropractors fail at a 50% clip after 5 years of practice. And and that's like us going to war against subluxations. And every time we lose a chiropractor, we lose a subluxation warrior. And I think that we have to get clarity on that and have vision and foundation and fundamentals employed in process. Like you're saying, we need to develop these cells that connect to the brain, which becomes the soldier, which is the person out there in the front lines in that practice, whether they've been taught the right way or they've been taught the mechanistic way. And whether that's real or not, I love the fact that you said that there's 20 books that you would recommend to people. And we'll ask you at the end of our conversation today what those books are. Maybe you don't add them all off, but you can post those in the comments too. And that would be a huge resource for people to be able to have access to, because I don't know. I don't know what the fundamental books are that people should be reading to get
right
to prepare themselves to become a future leader. And that's what you're talking about, is you want to see this profession become full of leaders again rather than followers. And I think that what we need people to step up and learn. And, one of the questions I asked yesterday, and I'm going to ask you too, is what does it mean for what Luke and I are doing? I mean, for us to be able to bring non-chiros here and to be able to host a chiropractic show that's 800 rich now, what does it mean for what we're doing?
I just want to touch on what you just said before I answer that question, which is one of my other favorite quotes, which is relevant to what you were just talking about, is in the absence of a plan, or in the absence of clarity, fear settles in. And we're in a pandemic right now. People are losing their jobs. They were employees. They didn't really have a plan as to what they were going to do. So just like a student that arrives with no plan, all this fear settles in. I think that's why students drop out of school. I think that's why students get out of school and take associateships, is they never had a plan that was clear enough to them that they didn't have any fear, right? Fred Barge's book, Life Without Fear, was very touching. And living your life like without fear means knowing what you know and sticking to that. But getting to what you guys are doing, I mean, I see you as integral pieces to the chessboard. At the end of the day, we need to get the message to the right people in the right way. And it seems to me, watching the interviews on your show, that you're interviewing people that are chiropractors. They're not lacking confidence. I'm not sure about the whole leadership piece. I think leadership was pushed a little too hard at our school, and it really throws people off a little bit because not everybody is going to be a leader. I hear what you're saying, though, about leading yourself, starting with yourself and being, internally trusting. But I just see you guys as being really crucial. I mean, like I said, the biggest disconnect right now is between the general public and us. I believe that we need more chiropractors on college campuses. I think that the infrastructure that pre-chiropractic could lend is that people such as yourselves can connect, essentially be guidance counselors for students that are thinking they want to go towards healthcare. It could be for yoga teachers, massage therapists, personal trainers, athletic trainers that are wanting to take it to the next level. It could be for career transitioners, people that want to change careers and are thinking about how they can most effectively help the population on this planet with the most sustainable healthcare we have, which is our hands and our ability to kind of mold to each other and really help people in this dance that we do as chiropractors. And also giving people effective lifestyle adaptation strategies. So I love what you guys are doing. To answer your question, you're super important. You don't have to be a chiropractor. Chiropractic's a philosophy. The adjusting is us trying to bring that philosophy into a physical practice. It's not what chiropractic is. Chiropractic is not the adjustment. Just like we are not our physical bodies, we're beyond that. That's the essence of vitalism. And I see you guys as having created this sort of channel or being these vessels to transmit this truth to our young generations that are looking for purpose, right? If we can instill some purpose in these younger people, I just think that there's a lot of hope for the future of the profession. And so I still think there's a ton of things the profession hasn't done, and it's because we're not asking the right question. We keep asking, how can we fix this problem within the profession? There's an us and a them. There's a right way to do it and a wrong way to do it. But in reality, it's like, how can we create a new group from the roots, which is these initial students, and bring them together and have them create shared experiences with one another and have shared values with one another. And then regardless of what school they go to, they at least respect each other. They can at least be like, hey, I vibe with them. I don't necessarily see chiropractic the same way, but I vibe with them, We need that. And me being from New York, I also have a soft spot for people of color, Black and brown people. I speak enough Spanish. I've practiced chiropractic in Latin America. I've done amazing things. And also I'm from the hood. I got a lot of life experience growing up with people that don't have a lot. And so I would really like to see chiropractic become more like a barbershop model where chiropractors are in the community and people can self-identify with their local chiropractor because chiropractors can speak like them, talk like them, relate to them. And I just think that we're failing to ask the right questions. We want to get further with chiropractic, but we keep kind of doing the same sort of thing in how we produce chiropractors. I know there's a lot of changes and this and that, but it's never like an expanding kind of change. It's always like a contracting, like let us lower the bar so more students can get in an easier way. They don't even need to have physics and organic chemistry done. They just need a bachelor's degree. It could be an art history, but as long as they have a 3.25, we'll let them in. And I have this mentor that used to say, he went to chiropractic school in the 80s, and he would say, when I went to chiropractic school admissions interview, they just say, can you pay for it? And he was like, yeah. And they're like, all right, you're in. And he's very much like kind of just down on the profession and the direction it's gone.
You made it to Chiro Hustle. Sit back and learn from the greatest influencers in the profession. This week's episode is brought to you by Imaging Services, ChiroThin, Chiro Moguls, Mahalo Wellness, Local Gold, Chiro Health USA, The Goodman Factor, Chiropractic Rocks, Winner's Edge, Accident Records, Chiro Tax Pro, and Digital Hustle. Let's hustle.
in a sense that we've become this profession similar to the osteopaths in the 70s, where we just want to fit in. We just want to play the game and see what we can become, see who we have to become in order to fit into the medical model and become these referrals of musculoskeletal pain and not a separate and distinct profession. So, you know, he has a right to feel the way he feels, but he also sees where I'm at, and he's supporting the vision. So I believe that, you know, a lot of our chiropractors that are retiring right now, especially amid the pandemic, you got these older chiropractors that just don't want to do it anymore, or they're, you know, they feel a way about practicing right now. I think that their retirement plan should be that they're mentoring the next generation, and we just don't have a bridge so that experienced and clear, potent chiropractic can reach these young people. And that's what I think we need to focus on. I think that needs to be the focus moving forward. And I'm just glad you guys are hearing me right now, because I know that you're already doing what you're doing, and all you need to do is pivot your message towards a different group, which is prospective chiropractic students. I think that's I think that's like the crux of, you know, Arno and a bunch of other chiropractors would always talk about how our generation's responsibility. So the first 100 years was like establishing it, making it solid, really developing the philosophy and growing the art. But our generation, these next 100 years, is really about making peace with the general public and shifting the minds of the masses so that they engage with chiropractic in the way that we want them to engage with it, which is it's part of your lifestyle. It's a way of life. It's a natural way of taking care of your body and your mind and your spirit. And I'm just excited to be so on fire for chiropractic, because I have so many friends that have a bitter taste in their mouth, that are so salty about the educational experience. And I'm just all about elevating that student experience in chiropractic education, because the unique thing about me from every other student was I kept an open mind everywhere I went. And I would go to every single different perspective with this open mind, not a judgy, oh, you know, I focus on upper cervical. I'm about to go learn from this person, but I'm not really open to them. So just being curious is a crucial thing. And that's why I think I'm one of the better people to introduce this next generation to chiropractic, because I'm not going to just show them one thing. I'm going to show them as much as I can, you know, so they can differentiate what they like. And anyway, sorry for the rant.
We love you.
Love you too, brother.
So how do you think the world would change if every person on the planet got under consistent chiro care?
You know, I would just love to see every community to have a chiropractor who has options for the people in that community. I don't think everybody necessarily needs to be under chiropractic care. I don't like the idea of under chiropractic care, by the way. I think chiropractic's a tool. I think the idea that you're under chiropractic care is like saying once you stop using the chiropractor, you've gotten out from being under their care. Anyway, I think if we could have more diversity in our profession, and we can train our people and provide them with the infrastructure that they can go and offer their services for free, as I've done so for many years now, to homeless people. We started a nonprofit, not only so that we could have our loans be forgiven theoretically, more importantly than us having everybody under care is that we have chiropractors that recognize the importance of going into the communities that there's not a single chiropractor. You know, there's nobody there for that. And we're not going to get there until we have people from those communities becoming chiropractors. I think the issue is chiropractors go where there's money, and they come from money. So they don't really have it as a priority. Just saying.
I want to touch on a couple things that you said there. Luke and I just went to Grant Cardone's 10X Growth Con in February,
Yep.
and he had Magic Johnson speak there.
Yep.
And Magic Johnson blew me away.
Yep.
Not because he's Magic Johnson, but because of his message. And his message was this. I bought into Starbucks. And what I did with Starbucks is I started putting Starbucks in rural areas and urban areas where people said that there's no money. And he said, but what I did is I went and surveyed the people that live there and asked them what they would want at that Starbucks. And then what I did is I delivered Starbucks to these areas that people said Starbucks wouldn't make it. And now I have something almost like 200 Starbucks that are all doing really well in these communities. And really what I think we should do, and I used to really think that, people would steal my ideas, and they may, and I hope they do sometimes.
There you go.
That's not out of ego. That's not of being vain. I think that this is an idea that people, I wish somebody that would just like run with this idea and take it, is they would go find those Starbucks that Magic Johnson started, and they would put chiropractic centers near those Starbucks.
Right there.
Because he's already done the market research to find the areas of need where the people will actually go and become customers. And that's really what the Joint does, is they go and find shopping centers where there are basically white affluent culture.
Yes.
They put Joint in strip malls where people that are going to like the high-end like grocery stores like Whole Foods and Sprouts and natural grocers. So they're already doing their aerial research and finding out where the population is ready to go buy. And then they put these convenient locations, like you're saying, the barbershop mentality, and they put these shops next to these already high traffic zones. And I think that what Magic Johnson is doing with the Starbucks, we should be doing with the urban areas and putting chiropractors out there. And I do think, I wrote this down just now, there's too much suit and tie in chiropractic and not enough sleeves rolled up. And I think that we want to, like you said, like they've always said, we want chiropractors to be on an even playing field with the medical doctors, but chiropractors aren't medical doctors. And the even playing field is going out and being servants. And you got to roll your sleeves up to serve. And, I know that Billy DeMoss will tell you all day that, you got to be dressed better than your best dressed customer. But you also have to know what it's like to live in a day in the life of seeing as many people as you can to set people free. And I think that that's a message that we don't share enough. And the mentorship and the development of this profession is going to change. And that's why I just wanted to acknowledge you for your voice. I want to acknowledge you for your swagger that you bring to our show today. I want to acknowledge you for, you bring the New York to the Oakland. So you got like the East Coast, West Coast wrapped up into a chiropractor. And like, I love your delivery. Like everything that you're saying is so relevant to right now. Like I said before we started, there's no better time than now. And, I'm
going to keep it real with you, just not to cut you off, but I feel like I really need to share this piece. The biggest issue with chiropractic students getting out from school right now is they don't have a retirement plan. Most entrepreneurs that I talk to don't have a retirement plan. And so they're serving super consciously out of their abundance, but they're not receiving consciously. And if you don't receive consciously, all this serving you're doing is really just going right through your hands. It goes into your bank account and it pays your bills. And so because of this pandemic, my friends and I always say this pandemic was one of the best things that happened to us because it was a pattern interrupt. It allowed us to just take a step back and say, okay, where are we really interested in focusing our attention? And so I've been studying this concept of infinite banking, which I imagine you're familiar with. Regardless, I believe that if students knew about the infinite banking concept before they went to chiropractic school, this whole student loan would not be as big of a mountain to climb when they got out. It wouldn't be as much risk to go and get when they went in. And so like throughout the years, I've been saying pre-chiropractic is the crucial, like it's the key. But people are like, yeah, but school is still $200,000. Like there's no way around that. And I'm like, well, with infinite banking, are you familiar with it or no?
Nope.
Neither are you?
You're talking some neophytes.
All right. Well, I've been studying infinite banking, velocity banking, and business credit, which they say most business owners are not even familiar with business credit. That's something to look into. But basically, infinite banking, it was created in the 70s by this guy, Nelson Nash, created the Nelson Nash Institute. And it's kind of like chiropractic is to medicine and the healthcare system. Infinite banking is to financial advisors and the banking system. And so it's that whole become your own bank concept. Have you heard that term thrown around?
Yep.
A little bit? Okay. So my philosophy is, at this point, the numbers I've been running, if a chiropractic student took their student loan money and put it into their infinite banking policy and then pulled it right back out to live off of like they have to, they would save so much more. They'd be contributing to their retirement, to their legacy fund, because the death benefit goes to your next generation tax-free. I can't tell you how many students probably either die while they're in school, die in their first couple years out of school, or drop out of school with all this debt, and they can't pay it back, or it's this thing that's bugging them, right? It's like, how do we transfer our risk? You brought up Grant Cardone, so I just had to share that. It's like, that's like a way that we transfer the risk out of, oh my gosh, we're recommending all these students go to chiropractic school and it's this expensive. Like, see the investment in yourself. Yes, it's a specific type of high cash value life insurance, and the life insurance industry has a similar reputation as the chiropractic industry in regards to like, don't, think twice, watch out. And I just think that it's an amazing tool that students can use to start to build their retirement fund, start to build that nest egg. So when they want to start their own business right out of school, and start to build business credit while they're in school for starting that clinic you're talking about in the hood when they get out. But if you're the first student, if you're the first person in your family to go to college, let alone go to become a doctor, then you need to be able to tell your family, like, look, I know I'm about to go to graduate school and get in all this debt, but I'm also investing all of that money into a retirement fund. And if I pass in the first 5-10 years, y'all are going to get a bunch of millions of dollars. Like, we're building generational wealth right now. So
I love it, dude. I love how you just spit fire.
Sure. Because it's like, if I don't, who will, right? If you guys don't do these talks, I got on with you today just because all of a sudden I'm just feeling like, hey, I just need to share this. I'm about to have a kid in a month. I need to make some things happen for myself where, if something was to happen, I know that I maxed out. I called my agent. I was like, what's my total life value right now, which is based on your age, income, and health. So my health is A1. I get adjusted on a regular basis. And my age, I'm 35 now. But based on my income, I was able to qualify for $4.5 million. So if I pass now, $4.5 million is going to my baby. Like, that's the abundance mindset that I'm talking about chiropractic students need when they graduate from school, or when they're in school. They're like, hey, I'm funding my life policy right now. I'm about to do amazing things for this world, and my family's going to be taken care of if something happens to me.
So it's called making money work for you.
Yeah, I never learned that in school. I don't know if the vitalistic schools are really, focusing that in the board's reviews and stuff.
I don't think they teach anyone financial etiquette. I don't think they teach anybody really financial literacy. Like, right. We're a bunch of dumbasses with credit cards.
That's a fact.
And I think that's what we teach people, is how to get a credit card and not pay it off. We teach people how to get a credit card and ruin their credit. The credit should say, this is to build your credit, not to build a bill. And I think that's what we've messed up on, is we let people have this like maximum where they should have a minimum, and they should have a monthly minimum, then a maximum. And I think that most people go to the maximum because they spend more than they earn. And no one ever teaches people financial literacy. And that's dropping the bomb right there. And that's why people need to really listen to what we're talking about today rather than just be silent observers. They need to actually listen. And that's one of the things that people tell you as you become more influential, that you use this less and this more. And I think that we need more people to use these more than this. And people need to quit doing this, and they need to start figuring out how to make themselves to become better at this. And that's when we start changing this profession around, is when people become better at this rather than they become better at this and this.
Yeah, and listening to this.
And then they need to take it to right here.
Yep. Yes. Appreciate you. Yep. Listening is the first medicine, my brother.
Where do you see chiropractic going in the next 20 years?
I want to say that the potential for chiropractic is great. If we're starting new chiropractic schools in new countries, by understanding how to leverage other people's money and have money work for you, I think that something like pre-chiropractic can be the infrastructure that gives birth to the profession in new countries. I think that we're going to see a huge increase in the amount of chiropractors on college campuses and in hospitals. Maybe that's a good thing. Maybe it's a bad thing. It needs to be on our own terms, no matter what. Our profession is going to basically live and die by the people within it. So I think that it's up to us to identify which students are going to be better politicians or better researchers or better educators than practicing chiropractors. And there's nothing wrong with you not going to practice if that's not your thing. But we need to acknowledge that those are other paths. So if we're developing professional politicians that understand policy change, that are going to get their PhD in chiropractic policy change, I think that we have a bright future. I think a lot is possible. I think that if we continue to just think that every student that goes to chiropractic school needs to learn the same thing and go in the same direction and hire the same expensive coaching companies right out of school, or take these associateships that might give them some experience but are not putting any money in their pocket and not really giving them game on like how to get further, I think that the profession will stay where it's at, but I think that in 20 years we got some good outlooks. It's just we can't really tell what's going on with the world right now, if there's a nuclear war or if the climate keeps messing us up. But I'll tell you one thing, people, as long as we're alive as a human race, people are going to be using chiropractors to take care of themselves, their families, their communities. I mean, it's amazing. In Oakland, I get connected with Afghani, Pakistani, Mexican, Colombian. They get adjusted and then they start bringing their whole community in. You see like 10 people come through and they're like, can you adjust my grandfather, my kid? I don't even have to say nothing because they get it. They understand that like, hey, this is natural. This makes sense. We're sick of taking the pastillas, the pills. Like we had enough. Like this is it. So it's funny. We haven't really marketed, to be honest with you, at all throughout the years. We've gotten reviews and all that, but I started doing Facebook ads. You'll appreciate that a little bit, but it's a little bit late. I've been studying, Miles Beckler. You familiar with him?
Nope.
So Miles Beckler is like a digital marketing. His goal in life is to become the world's most helpful digital marketer. And he gives away incredible amounts. He has over 650 videos on YouTube right now. And he goes through like full in-depth courses and he's constantly publishing. This guy doesn't stutter a single bit. He meditates. Him and his wife have like a $5 million a year angel meditation reading website or something. But anyway, he's been in the game for like 20 years in digital marketing. So I understand the ins and outs of digital marketing. And I understand like, there's so much that could be done. I took an SEO course a couple months ago called by thrivethemes.com called the SEO Sprint for solopreneurs. And I recommend chiropractors take that little class. It's a 10-day SEO sprint. I implemented about 50% of that material and my traffic shot up like 500%. within 3 months. And it was just off of me doing my H1, H2, H3 tags, having my little funnels that go from one to the other, creating internal link building within the websites. There's just so much that could be done. But I talk to chiropractors every day, at least 3 or 4 or 5 chiropractors every day, because I just love, just vibing on what's coming up for us. And I think it's important that every chiropractor has people they can call on and talk to. But I was telling them one of the best investments I made each year, we'll have like a new photo shoot. And the photos are like ammunition, I know video is king, but those photos give you this sense that, hey, I could create some Instagram posts or Facebook posts, or I could add this to my blog, and I'm building a brand identity that's unique to me. And so I've been encouraging a lot of young chiros, hey, get your brand photography up. It's an easy place to start. Doesn't have to be a lot of money.
I love your knowledge, dude. I love your knowledge. I love that you have you just opened up the toolbox and you're like, look, this is what I got inside my toolbox. This is what I do. And I like that you're like worker grade mentality. And it is about getting the whole family under care, man. I think there was a Sigafus quote that said, why would you come here and get healthy and leave the rest of your family home to be sick? And that's like where it's at, man. That should be on every chiropractor's door when they walk in. When I worked in the office, one of the things what I said is I high-fived everybody. I'd say, have a chiropractic day. And before I know it, one of our patients brought in a plaque that put it above our door that when people came in and came back in, it said, have a chiropractic day on both sides. And people would high-five each other all the time and tell people to have a chiropractic day, and it became a thing. And I think that's what it's about. It's about having that chiropractic day and realizing that adjustment isn't just about you. It's about the vitality that you bring to your community and your family. And it's always been said, hey, we're going to make you a better mom and a better dad and a better worker and a better son and all this. It's true. But when people get it, marketing becomes easy.
Yeah.
And when you deliver the goods, that makes your job, that gives you joy. And I think that's what happens is when people get that disconnection between the debt and the service, the joy gets lost because then it becomes drudgery to pay bills. And nobody like to go to work just to pay bills. And nobody doesn't like to look at interest rate that keeps on drowning them. And they're like, I'm not even paying any of this off. I'll never pay any of this off. And that's where the chiropractor becomes, their wings get clipped. Because now what they're doing is going to work to pay bills. And that's why they fail after 5 years, because it's not fun. Right. And they lose the joy. So that's
not everybody's dealt the same cards. You know what I'm saying, Jim? Like, I got friends that got out of chiropractic school and they didn't come from generational wealth, and it's a struggle, blood pressure's elevated. They just went through taking 700 exams at school, getting through their boards. They're stressed out, and now it's time to go to work and be relaxed and provide this sort of beacon of hope for their community, and they're stressed out. So it's tough. There's a lot of contradictions going on, and I just keep coming back to the fact we need to set our graduates up to be coming from this place of abundance. And I think that all comes from, like you said, financial literacy, digital marketing know-how. There's a lot of pieces, but that's so the way that I illustrate my whole trajectory to become a chiropractor is the first 5 stages are pre-chiro. Then there's stage 6, 7, and 8 in chiro school. And then stage 9 is when you get out, that transition.
That's when you can learn how to build a rocket ship.
You already built your rocket ship. That's when you're trying to just settle into some comfort and ease of being back out in the real world. Because when you go into chiropractic school, you're in this little bubble. It becomes hard to relate to people who are not chiropractors and thinking like you're thinking. And so you have to really start practicing how to relate to people as regular people, as somebody who's not different than you are. And that's stage 9. That's that crucial piece. But, it's cool because the people that I went to school with are really making some moves. I'm not going to shout too many names out, but I got some people that are offering their services to chiropractic students and to new graduates in regards to like helping them along. And they all went to school at the same time as me. You know, I still talk to them all. So
It's your tribe. It's your tribe of titans.
Cool. It's cool. It's cool. It's time for me to step up and kind of be there for people, because I know, you know, I'm there for my fellow chiropractors that are kind of on the come up, but I need to be there more for the people that don't even know chiropractic exists, you know, because my chiropractic story is I didn't even really know it existed. I had no idea of option. Once I decided in my last semester of college, I brought the chiropractor to the school. He spoke to like 200 students with his spine in his hand, and he told the message. And everybody went up to him after the discussion. These are all freshman students, and grabbed his brochures and pamphlets that he had brought about chiropractic. And I still remind him to this day, you remember that? Of course I remember that. That was amazing. And then they invited him back year after year to speak to that freshman class. And I'm just saying, like, there was 70 students in my senior year independent study class. Out of those 70, 67 of them wanted to become physical therapists. I was one of 3 that didn't decide that I was going to go from kinesiology to physical therapy. And I, you know, 2 of my brother-in-laws are physical therapists. I'm not hating. I'm just saying, like, it's a different vibe, chiropractic. And I think that so many people would be attracted to it if they knew what it was. They don't know what it is. That's why. So to answer, you know, since we're wrapping up, the top 20 books, I'm going to just rattle some off. One is Chiropractic Revealed. It was not that long ago that this one was released. It's called One-on-One with Masters of a Misunderstood Profession. I gave this book to Brett Jones when he was visiting Life West, and he was going to go to Palmer West. He wound up going to Life West because of that book. He read that book. He said something went on in his head. I'm sure you heard his name. He's making moves. He's doing his thing. He credits a lot of sort of that shifting in consciousness to the reading of that book. And right now he's on fire for chiropractic. Second book, I'm going to shout out my top 2 favorite green books, maybe top 3. Science of Chiropractic. It was given to me as a gift by John Martinez when I graduated chiropractic school. If you don't know John, please have him on the show. He is the epitome of what being a chiropractor is from my vantage point. He's definitely roots, origin chiropractic, but Science of Chiropractic is volume 1, 1906. And what I did was I went through the first 20 pages, which are all one-liners, and I grabbed all my favorite one-liners. So if you want, I can send you like a PDF of like my favorite DD one-liners from volume 1, which is that origin text. My second favorite green book is Fame and Fortune. Arno told me to read that book 3 times. So, you know, that's what I did. And I recommend everybody go through that one a couple times. Every chapter is just 1 page in that book. And then the third one is Science, Philosophy, and Art of Chiropractic, 1910, The Chiropractor's Adjuster. And that's just got a mishmash of all kinds of good concepts in there. But moving on to some more recent stuff from the 70s and 80s, I really like Reggie by Joe Strauss. It was all the different ways that Reggie Gold would describe chiropractic to people, the analogies he would use, the stories he would use. And while we're on the topic of Reggie, I really recommend people check out Triune of Life. That's how he got his PhD. He wrote that book. And the triune is force, matter, and intelligence. And the expression of intelligence through matter is a delivery of force to allow matter to express intelligence. Anyway, the first seminar that I ever went to before I went to chiropractic school was called The Scientific and Philosophical Validation of Chiropractic in the Wellness Paradigm by James Chestnut. And he broke it down in a way that was like referencing research and looking at the subluxation as a segmental movement. Segmental movement. Anyway, he's definitely dope. I love James Chestnut. I recommend any student go through that book and his 4-part series that gets you the certification to become a certified chiropractic wellness lifestyle provider. That first book is just all about chiropractic, the neurology, the science, and even the philosophy. Another amazing book would be Joe Strauss's Chiropractic Philosophy, the blue book. That one just really, I like how he writes better than BJ, because he was writing in the 80s or the 70s. He's just making a little bit more sense to me as someone who was born in 85, in regards to just breaking down chiropractic into its essence. And then so many good books, man. The Meadowlands Experience by Sid Williams, or Lasting Purpose by Sid Williams, or Looking Back to See Ahead by Sid Williams. Those are 3 great books. He also wrote a 4th one that I read, but I can't remember the name of it. All of those books just show how deep he was in his perspective. And then the Fred Barge books, Are You the Doctor, Life Without Fear. Couple of others that, are not coming to me at the moment. Fred Barge, I would take his book. You could read one of his books in like 2.5, 3 hours. And I recommend to students, just make cliff notes, or, just take out the gems, write it in your own words. The thing about me is I went through chiropractic school being super frustrated by how I entered. So by my 3rd semester, I realized I wanted to create pre-chiro, and I started going through every single class, writing down what was missing or how could this be related to chiropractic. And then when I was a senior, I was playing in a soccer championship game, scored the winning goal, come back to my car, it was broken into, and all my journals were stolen and my laptop. So I had like all 4 of my journals from those 3 years of chiropractic school gone, poof. So I had to start rebuilding the pre-chiro idea as a new graduate, because this is the end of my school career. So anyway, I just appreciate you guys for listening to me, giving me this platform to share. Some other books, I'll have to share it in the notes,
What are some websites of yours that other doctors or students could go to learn more?
Becomeachiro.com is the one I'm working on right now. And that's going to be the one that we grow. The vision for becomeachiro.com is to have this scientist, thinker, artist, teacher, entrepreneur be the lens that we take students through all 9 stages of becoming a chiropractor. That's going to be a lot of courses, a lot of people teaching the courses, and not just me. But I also want to offer, student priced consulting, very inexpensive, to basically talk to me or my friends who are either Spanish speaking chiropractors or chiropractors that practice upper cervical or other forms of chiropractic, but just being able to tap in. So that's the only website right now, but there's a lot of great websites out there.
Well, we appreciate you being our guest today. And I know I have really never told anybody this, but you're one of my favorite humans. I like the way that you connect with us. I like the way that you're so free to speak on what you love. And it's been a real honor to not have to talk as much. And you definitely get your words per minute in. And I love the fact that you're able to connect the dots with the past and the future. And it's been a real honor to have you on our show today.
Most definitely. I appreciate it. Much love to you guys. Keep doing what you're doing. We need more of this, but we need it to reach the people, man. I get frustrated when I don't see too many views on your videos, and I'm like, man, this is fire right here. Where are the people at? And the reality is students are so inundated with their classes, they don't have time. At least they don't think they have time. So we need to get them before they get to chiro school. That's my point. That's my message to you. Get that marketing muscle flexed on the pre-chiro students. I'm going to help you get it there. We're going to work together on that.
Let's do it, man. We always like a good collaboration, and that's what makes us about hustle. We just don't stop. We're always full court press. Even Luke this morning, he's like, dude, we just got so much going on. We're busy. I'm like, yep, it's time to rock. So thank you so much, man.
Thank you, man. Keep having fun. I'll talk to you guys later.
All right. Enjoy the rest of your afternoon.
Thanks for listening to Chiro Hustle. Don't forget to subscribe and check back next week to continue hustling.